The cold steel barrel presses against her temple. 7 hostiles, 4 dead teammates, 0 options. Sarah Mitchell stands in the center of the smoke-filled operations room, hands zip-tied behind her back, blood trickling from her split lip. Outside, gunfire echoes across Naval Base Coronado. The power grid is down, communications are severed, and the quick reaction force still 12 minutes out. 12 minutes. They don't have the lead. The hostile, a man with dead eyes and scars that tell stories Sarah wishes she couldn't read, steps closer. His breath reeks of cigarettes and violence. He grabs her tactical vest's throat strap, yanking her forward until her boots lift off the ground. "Who sent you?" His voice is gravel and fury. Sarah gasps, choking. Her feet dangle. The other 6 hostiles laugh. They see what everyone has always seen. A small woman, 5'4", supply officer, desk job, harmless. They have no idea who they're holding. Sarah Mitchell, 32 years old, logistics officer. The woman who orders pens and manages inventory spreadsheets while real warriors do real work. Or so everyone on base believes. She's quiet, keeps her head down, gets mocked in the mess hall by the SEAL candidates who call her office girl and paper pusher. Last week, Lieutenant Briggs made her cry during a briefing, dismissing her security concerns as paranoid nonsense from someone who's never seen real action. She didn't argue, didn't defend herself. She never does. Because Sarah Mitchell learned a long time ago that the most dangerous people in any room are the ones nobody's watching. What they don't know, what nobody on this base knows, is that before Sarah Mitchell became a logistics officer, before she requested the transfer to non-combat operations, before she started wearing reading glasses and cardigans over her uniform, she was Chief Instructor Mitchell. Krav Maga, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Systema, close quarters combat. For 8 years, Sarah ran the most brutal hand-to-hand combat program in naval special warfare history. She wasn't famous, didn't want to be, but her program was legendary. She trained 3 SEAL teams, 73 graduates. Some of them are now running their own teams across the globe. They knew her by her call sign, Phantom, because when she moved, you didn't see her coming. She learned from the best, a former Mossad operative who taught her that size meant nothing, that leverage and timing could turn a 100-pound disadvantage into victory. Then she spent 6 years in classified programs refining techniques so efficient, so brutal, they were taught only behind closed doors. But 3 years ago, after a training accident left one of her students paralyzed, Sarah walked away. The guilt broke her. She requested transfer to logistics, buried her past, and tried to become invisible. She thought she could leave violence behind. Tonight, violence has found her anyway. 6 hours earlier, Sarah sat in the base security briefing, her voice barely above a whisper as she raised her hand. "Sir, I've noticed inconsistencies in the supply deliveries. 3 shipments in 2 weeks with different driver IDs but same vehicle plates. It could be," Lieutenant Briggs cut her off with a laugh. "Mitchell, stick to counting bullets. Leave security to people who understand threats." The room erupted in chuckles. Sarah's face burned red. She closed her folder and said nothing more. Stupid, weak, invisible. Those words had followed her all her life. As a kid, she was the small girl who got picked last. In college, the quiet one nobody remembered. Even in the teams, after she'd proven herself 100 times over, some instructors still questioned whether a woman belonged teaching SEALs how to fight. She'd spent years trying to be loud, confident, aggressive. It never worked. So she became small instead. Hopping small meant safe. But tonight, when the explosions ripped through the armory at 2300 hours, when hostile forces breached the perimeter using those exact supply trucks Sarah had flagged, when Lieutenant Briggs and his quick reaction force got pinned down trying to retake the operations center, small didn't keep her safe. Briggs had grabbed her by the arm, shoving her into a corner. "Stay down and stay quiet. This is real combat, Mitchell," she obeyed, stayed down, stayed quiet, and watched 3 of Briggs's team get executed because they didn't know how to fight in close quarters without their rifles. She'd wanted to help. Her body had remembered the movements. Disarm, control, incapacitate, muscle memory screaming at her to move, but fear held her frozen. You're not that person anymore. You're not Phantom. Then Briggs went down with a bullet in the leg and the hostiles zip-tied everyone still breathing, including Sarah. Now dangling from the hostile leader's grip on her throat strap, Sarah feels the familiar burn in her lungs, the tunnel vision, the panic trying to claw its way up. "Who sent you?" he screams again, shaking her like a rag doll. The other operators, the ones still alive, still watching, look away. They think she's about to die. Paper pusher Mitchell. Wrong place, wrong time. But Sarah's not panicking, she's counting. His grip, left hand on my strap, right hand reaching for his sidearm. Weight distribution, 70% on his front leg, 3 feet from the desk. 2 hostiles at 6 o'clock, 1 by the door. It's been 3 years, but the analysis comes back like breathing. The hostile pulls his pistol, pressing it under her chin. Last chance. Who? Sarah's knee drives upward into his elbow joint, precisely, brutally. His grip releases. She drops, twisting mid-fall, and her bound hands swing up over his head. The plastic ties catch across his throat like a garrote. She pulls. He gasps, clawing at his neck as Sarah uses his body as a shield. The hostile at 6 o'clock raises his rifle. Sarah kicks off the desk, using the leader's body weight to swing them both. The rifle shot hits the leader instead. She releases the dying man, drops into a roll, and comes up with his fallen pistol in her still-bound hands. 2 shots, 2 bodies. The hostile by the door fumbles for his weapon. Sarah's already moving. She leaps, wrapping her legs around his neck in a flying triangle choke. They crash into the wall. He tries to slam her off, but she's locked tight, squeezing until his movements slow, then stop. She releases, drops, breathes. 4 hostiles down in 11 seconds. The room is silent except for labored breathing. Lieutenant Briggs, bleeding and zip-tied against the wall, stares at her like she's a ghost. "What the hell are you?" Sarah doesn't answer. She's already working the fallen hostile's knife against her zip ties. They snap. She picks up a rifle, checks the chamber, and moves to the window. 3 hostiles still outside. And the final hostile in the room, the one she'd intentionally left alive, is reaching for his radio. Sarah's boot pins his wrist. She crouches, voice cold and calm. "How many?" He spits at her. She applies pressure, small movements, precise pain. A technique she taught SEAL Team 3 for interrogations. "How many?" 12, he gasps. 12 of us, you're already dead." Sarah zip-ties him with his own restraints and moves to cut Briggs loose. He stares at her, mouth open. "Mitchell, how did you?" Later, the operations room door explodes inward. 8 hostiles flood in. The rest of the assault team. They've heard the gunfire, come to finish the job. And Sarah is out of ammunition. Briggs curses, trying to stand on his wounded leg. The 2 other surviving operators, both injured, struggle to their feet. It's hopeless. They're unarmed, wounded, exhausted. The hostile commander steps through the smoke. A mountain of a man, 6'5", body armor, carrying a combat knife that looks like it was designed to butcher elephants. He sees his dead team, sees Sarah standing in the center, blood-spattered, empty rifle in hand. His eyes narrow. "I know you." Sarah's heart stops. He steps closer, studying her face. Then his eyes widen with recognition and something that might be fear. "Phantom." The word drops like a bomb. His team hesitates. Sarah sees it, the shift in their posture. They've heard the stories, the ghost who trained the SEALs, the woman who could kill you with a magazine, a belt, a smile. But there's 8 of them, one of her. "You're retired," the commander says, though he doesn't sound convinced. "You don't do this anymore." Sarah's voice comes out steady, quiet, deadly. "Retirement's over." She moves. What happens next isn't a fight. It's a master class. Sarah uses every surface, every object, every inch of space. She breaks a wrist with a desk stapler, dislocates a shoulder using a chair leg as a fulcrum, drops a 200-pound hostile with a strike to the nerve cluster most people don't know exists. The commander comes at her with his knife. He's trained, dangerous, but Sarah has spent 8 years teaching people how to defeat people like him. She slips his first thrust, redirects his momentum into the wall. His second slash, she catches his wrist, applies a standing armbar and drives her elbow into his tricep. The knife clatters away. He tries to bull rush her. Big mistake. Sarah drops her weight, uses his charge against him, and executes a throw so perfect it could be in a textbook. He crashes onto his back, stunned. She finishes it with a knee strike to his temple. Silence. 8 bodies, none of them moving. Sarah stands in the center of the room, breathing hard, bleeding from a dozen small cuts, but alive. Behind her, Lieutenant Briggs and his team stare like they're witnessing a miracle. The quick reaction force finally arrives to find Sarah calmly, zip-tying the last unconscious hostile. The base commander, Captain Torres, storms in, weapon drawn, then stops dead when he sees the scene, bodies everywhere. Sarah covered in blood but standing, his elite team on the ground, wounded but alive because of her. "Someone want to explain what happened here?" Lieutenant Briggs speaks up, voice shaking. "Sir, Mitchell saved us. I don't even know how to describe it. She took down 12 hostiles alone." Torres looks at Sarah, really looks at her. "Mitchell, our logistics officer." One of the zip-tied hostiles, the commander, groans awake. He sees Sarah and actually flinches. "You didn't tell us Phantom was here. We never would have hit this base if we'd known." Tor's eyes widen. He turns to Sarah. "Phantom, Chief Instructor Mitchell." Sarah says nothing, just nods. The next morning, Sarah sits in the base commander's office. She expects reprimand, expects questions about why she hid her identity. Instead, Tor slides a file across the desk. "We need you," he says simply. "Not as a logistics officer, as yourself. We're building a new close-quarters combat program. I want you to run it." Sarah looks at the file, looks at her hands, bruised, scarred, but steady. For 3 years she ran from who she was, tried to bury Phantom under paperwork and politeness. But last night, when her team needed her, when lives were on the line, Phantom saved them. "I'll do it," she says quietly, "on one condition. Name it. No more hiding, no more invisible. I train them right my way or not at all." Tor smiles. "Agreed." That afternoon, Sarah walks through the base. Operators stop and salute her, not mockingly, with genuine respect. Lieutenant Briggs approaches, limping on his bandaged leg. He stands at attention. "Chief Instructor Mitchell, I owe you my life and an apology. I was wrong about everything." Sarah meets his eyes. "You were doing your job, Lieutenant. Now let me do mine. Report to the training center Monday, 0500 hours. You're my first student in the new program." He blinks. "Me. You're good in a firefight, Briggs, but you're sloppy in close quarters. I'm going to fix that." For the first time in 3 years, Sarah Mitchell smiles. Not the small, apologetic smile she's been hiding behind. The smile of someone who knows exactly who she is. Phantom isn't retired anymore. Sarah Mitchell learned something that night. Being quiet doesn't mean being weak. Being underestimated isn't the same as being powerless. And sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one everyone overlooked. She spent years trying to be invisible. Turns out she was just waiting for the right moment to be seen. Sometimes dignity doesn't speak. It simply acts.